If this is your first time joining us, on Weird Awakenings we discuss anomalous phenomena. The strange, the curious, the extraordinary, the bizarre. Throw in the occasional conspiracy theory, and you get us. Cecil, Hadley, Stephen Tully, and myself, Morgana. Just a few of the Weird Kids. Weird Awakenings is a part of the Weird Realities Network. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our channels. We can be found at linktree/Weird Realities. That's weird with a Y. Okay, gang, grab those tinfoil hats and let's get weird. Well, hello. How is everybody doing tonight?
I am great. Spring break. I got 9 days off.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm working on my
I remember
ventricle.
the last time I had that. Are you?
Sorry?
Yeah. See, I'm working on my ventricle. I can't say it, but can you see my lips?
Yes. What are you talking about, dude?
I want to mess with.
All right. Okay. So
The next Jeff
tonight,
Bottom, yeah.
tonight we're going to be talking about weird and strange New Hampshire, and we have our own Scott Baker with us because he's from New Hampshire.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, we want Fred.
That's what Mike said. Yeah.
Fred is behind me.
I
gave him a bunch of treats, but if you look in the background, like where the light is, you'll probably see him running back and forth.
Well,
Yeah.
so for everybody who normally tunes in that might not know you, Scott, lay it on them.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Former CIA officer, retired 2013. I've got about 45 books to my name, including Nurse Alyssa versus the Zombie series and the Tatiana Paranormal. I've lived in New Hampshire now for 7 years. And yeah, there's a lot of spooky stuff going on around here.
I've got
That's
a question
what we
about.
like.
I got a question about one of these laws. If you have any insight
Sure.
into it.
Hey, Lando.
Hey,
No.
Linda.
No person who's going hunting or obviously on his way to or from hunting may have a ferret in his possession or custody. What's that about?
No clue. That was probably written a long time ago, and it was probably they caught somebody doing something that he shouldn't have been with the ferret.
I mean, you never know who's going to have an attack ferret either.
Yeah, well, that's something else.
Yep. That is very true. Very true. Okay, well, I'm going to start out on names with dumber.
Landa said she ain't hunting without a ferret. I'm with you, Landa. Hey, Shelby.
Hey, Shelby.
Hey, Shelby. All right, who wants?
You either want a ferret or a honey badger with you, right?
Mike said it's
No,
illegal
honey
in
badgers are
California,
mean.
too.
Honey badgers are mean.
Well, if he's on your side, it's okay. But you don't want to make one mad.
Oh,
No.
okay. This is way off topic. So somebody showed me. Well, hang on. Go ahead and get started. I'll bring this up. Just give me a minute.
All right.
Get started.
Come on, somebody give me something.
Who wants to go first?
You want to start with all the cryptids?
Of
Yes.
course.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, you got the aliens for one. Then you've got the Derry fairy. You have the devil monkey, slippery skin. You have the river road jogger, the Dublin lake monster, the white lady of Appledore Island, the witch of Hampton, and the wood devils, which would be your Bigfoot, I think.
Yeah, I've actually got a story about the wood devils.
Cool.
It's literally the only one I got. It's in Coles County, the largest northern county in New Hampshire. Is predominantly rural, frequently cold, and almost entirely remote. It's the perfect place, they say, for a Sasquatch to roam.
Yeah.
Known as the wood devils, these tall, skinny, gray-haired animals have reportedly been sighted throughout the county. While Bigfoot sightings in New Hampshire are not confined to Coos County alone, the fast-moving wood devil has been seen since at least the 19th century. Preferring deeply wooded areas along the borders of Canada and Vermont, a majority of wood devil sightings occurred in the 1970s when hikers, town residents, amateur explorers believed they saw Bigfoot-like prints and the creature themselves. So they're tall, skinny, gray-headed. So they're like malnourished.
And that's because the picture I ended up going with was the monkey, but I did do some AI for that particular one, and he did look poorly.
Yeah.
But it was just me, so I didn't use him.
Yeah, maybe it's an alien. Maybe it's a tall gray alien with a
Long hair?
fursuit.
I believe.
Okay.
Maybe so. Maybe
I've
so.
got while we're on the subject of cryptids, I've got what I was going to say a minute ago ready to present.
Okay,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Okay, keep in mind what I'm about to show you. There's only one answer, just like I told my wife when she sent this to me. So I'll let you ponder this. I'll let everybody ponder this for a minute before you give an answer.
Okay.
So for those that are audio only, you're in an arena with 50 hawks, 10 crocodiles, 3 brown bears, 15 wolves, 1 hunter with a rifle, 7 buffalo, 10,000 rats, 5 gorillas, and 4 lions. You can only pick 2 to defend you and to survive for 1 hour. So what would you pick as your best chance to survive an hour?
10,000 rats, 5 gorillas.
Okay.
10,000 rats, 5 gorillas.
10,000 rats, 10 crocodiles.
Okay.
I'm going with the rats, not the hawks, because they'll try to get the rats.
Mm-hmm.
The buffalo. Buffaloes are mean.
Steven?
I don't know. I'd take my odds with the hunter and 5 gorillas, because gorillas are just they're stupid strong.
Yeah.
So if you had this out like plotted, like the amount, like the volume of 10,000 rats is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kind of most popular answer to this is what Mike said, actually.
Yeah.
10,000 rats, because 1 hunter with a rifle isn't going to be able to take well, here's the problem. There's 2 ranged units in this lineup. You have the hawks and the hunter.
Yeah.
And a hunter isn't going to be able to shoot all 50 hawks before they get to him. So the most logical answer to this is 10,000 rats and 50 hawks. Because here's the thing. If you don't pick 10,000 rats, here's why it's the most logical answer. If you don't pick the rats are going to kill you, because all those other animals can't stop that amount of rats from getting to you.
Yeah.
So you're forced to pick the rats, and then you have to deal with the hunter somehow because he can shoot you. So, and 50 hawks is greater than a man with a rifle.
Rock to the groin.
Anyway,
that's why I picked the 10,000 rats. I'd rather have them going after the others.
Yeah. Even if the animals can get through to you somehow, those same animals can't stop 10,000 rats from getting to you.
Have you watched Willard? I mean, it works pretty good.
Yeah, but if you got the hawks and rats, how many of the rats are going to be killed by the hawks simply because the hawk is looking at a meal?
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing, though. They can only eat one at a time. And that's 50 rats.
But if they get
That's true. The way I interpreted this wasn't like a battle royale, but it was like one of the other, like when the battle starts, the 4 or the 5 gorillas aren't going to start fighting the lines, like they're all coming toward you.
Right.
So let's see, 50 rats times 5 minutes times.
Okay, I'm sorry to derail the conversation. It's just when we started talking about the ferrets, it led me to think about the 10,000 rats, and I wanted to have the thought experiment.
Yeah, 10,000 rats. That's just that's not something I want to think about.
No, hell no. Rats. Yeah, I wouldn't have survived Indiana Jones, the third one, because of the rats.
Yeah.
So in an hour's time, that'd only be like 600 rats. You still have
Mhm.
like 9,400 rats. So yeah.
And to your question about the ferrets, the law was passed because ferrets used to be used in New Hampshire to hunt rabbits. When ferrets were made legal to be pets, they passed that law so you could keep the ferret as a pet, but you couldn't keep it as a hunting animal.
Ah, jerks.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right,
that makes sense.
let's get into the space.
Okay. All right, Scott, what's your favorite urban legend from New Hampshire?
Favorite? I'm going to say, if it's going to be an urban legend, I would say American Stonehenge right here in Salem, New Hampshire. It is, no one has figured out what it is. It's a small little, some people are claiming it's 4,000 years old, and that it was, hang on a second. Some people are claiming that it was a pre-Columbian origin, though there's no existence to prove that. Others think it may have been, the myth says it was like a sacrificial site because there's a stone there that will drain stuff away, and people think it's blood, but it probably isn't, because it was a very common type of stone used by the older generations to crush lye, to extract lye from wood ashes by crushing it down, and the lye runs away. No one knows. They did find it changed hands several times. One guy took it, and there's speculation that he put up and moved around a lot of the stones to try to make this. It used to be called Mystery Hill, but then in the 1930s, somebody turned around and started calling it, some newspaper article referred to it as America's Stonehenge, and that caught on. Now, to sort of throw something into the mist, they did find ashes there 2,000 years old.
Wow.
Still not Columbian, but somebody was using that location 2,000 years ago, presumably the Native Americans.
That's wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to add to this, Scott, is from what's called Mystery Hill or American Stonehenge. If you line it up, it goes right through the middle trillathon of Stonehenge in Salisbury Plain, and it goes to Baalbek, Lebanon.
Wow.
It lines up in a straight line going through.
Those ley lines.
Yeah.
So now, I don't know, a lot of people have put forth the idea, it was probably made by Phoenicians, because this would have matched up with some of their religious beliefs.
It's possible. They don't know. And by the way, they don't know what it is. They've never been able to determine what it is, or except for the pre-Columbian, because they've not found anything yet. 4,000 years old. They've not been able to determine that it isn't this. So
Wow.
I saw Heather, and I'm like, I don't know what Heather.
That threw you. Hello, Hadley Thorne.
You can't give away Batman's identity.
She did it to herself again.
yeah, she's got her own name on it. Don't blame me.
You can't blame us.
The first time that happened was on Wearing the Folk, and she kept saying her own name like several times.
I was using her name here to not reveal her secret identity.
But she's using the same picture.
Yeah, I know.
So-
It definitely did not work for my organization. So
That's cool.
The Phoenicians.
Yeah, the Phoenicians. Yes. Yeah.
you know, the really sad thing, it's 2 miles from my house, and I've never visited it.
You should go
What?
there. Yeah.
Well, I was trying to get, when I first started working with Wyrd Realities, I was trying to get in touch with the owner. I wanted to do a live show from there one night. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. Call me back in a month. And then it was like, call me back next month. And after like about 7 or 8 months, I just said, the hell with it. I'm not going to waste my time.
Is it public, Scott? Like, can you go and film there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They sell tickets. There's a museum. You can drive in as long as, during the opening hours and do what you want there.
No.
Hey, Alan.
Okay, we've got this awesome show that we do once a month called Folking Weird, and that's what we do, is go to weird places and stuff and film.
You should totally get us some footage from there, Scott. We'll play it. You can come on that night, and we could talk through the walkthrough.
We'll send you $20 for lunch.
I don't know if you want to show Craig's other comment.
Yeah, I know. I saw it.
Cool. I like that. I like the concept of that, because until I met you, I had never heard of America's Stonehenge, which is very weird that I
It's
have
very
not.
interesting.
I heard of it, but I never really researched it. For some reason, I thought it was in Maine. I don't know.
So, Scott, do you know, like, I mean, is there like scary or spooky things that happen to people who visit?
I've never heard anything about it being haunted.
Okay.
The whole controversy is how much of it was planted there by the owner who was turning it into a tourist attraction.
Okay, I got you.
How much of it is actually, I mean, like I said, they found ash pits going back 2,000 years. So, did it have something to do with Native American culture? And if so, what? So I'll look into it, and I'll go down there someday, and I'll do it on the What the Folk.
All right, that'd be cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that would be good. Be cool.
We have to keep it semi professional on this one.
You can come on wearing the folk and say whatever you want.
Yeah, we talked right before the show. We were talking like crazy people. So
Yes.
But we are
All right.
crazy people.
Yes. Lake Winnipesaukee is in New Hampshire. And the only real connection I've ever had to that was What About Bob? Because the doctor goes to Lake Winnipesaukee on vacation, and Bill Murray follows him, and but there is actually a legend of Lake Winnipesaukee that was at one time said that there was a great chief who was renowned for courage in war, and he had a very beautiful daughter, and said that she had many suitors and she refused them all. And then this young chief of a hostile tribe came because he'd heard so much about her. He paddled all the way across the lake and fearlessly entered the village of his enemies. Well, her father happened to be away at the time, and she admired his courage, and the rest of her tribe didn't harm him because of his bravery, and said that, they ended up falling in love. And when her father got back, he wasn't happy about it, but, when he realized that his daughter was in love with him, he finally gave in, and let him get married. Well, said after the wedding ceremony, the whole tribe accompanied the two into canoes halfway across the lake, and then the skies opened up and the waters turned black. And just as they were about to turn and leave, the sun came out and the water sparkled around the canoe of the bride and groom, and said that the chief said that it was an omen, and hereafter these waters shall be called Winnipesaukee, which translates to smile of the great spirit.
Huh.
crazy.
I know that.
Yeah, I liked that. I was like, that's pretty cool. That makes me feel a little bit better than What About Bob? And that's one of my favorite movies, but I like the story better.
You guys want to hear a haunt?
I'm
Uh-huh.
sure.
So the first haunt that I had is the Ocean-born Mary House in Henniker, New Hampshire. So the Mary House is said to be haunted by a woman named Mary.
No.
And they say that her apparition, it almost looks like she has fire for hair and glowing green eyes. But Mary was, in fact, a lady who lived in the house and was widowed at a young age. And this might not seem out of the ordinary until you learn that Mary found the body of her deceased husband and willingly chose to bury him in his final resting place under the hearthstone in her kitchen.
Ew.
She sounds like she could be creepy alone, but people who stay here at the Mary house, the ocean-born Mary house, still see her to this day. They don't see the husband from what I can tell, but I thought that was a creepy one to get started with.
Oh.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he went ahead and left after he figured out, after he knew for sure how crazy she was.
Well, he didn't get out. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say, "Hey, I found him that way."
I'm surprised
I
they're paying
I
this
just-
bill too.
I found him that way, and I just happened to bury him in the kitchen. You know, like
I wanted
It
to
is-
be close to him.
it is what it. Yeah, I wanted to be close to him, Scott. Yeah,
You know, I love my husband, but when he goes, he's got to go. I mean, you know, there's just a certain line you just don't cross. Yep.
I'm gonna put mine right in the backyard.
Yeah. Well, you know, I actually have, no, I don't. Look, my husband has family that turned their front yard into a cemetery.
Wow.
So he could literally sit when his wife passed, so he could sit on the front porch because they used to sit on the front porch every morning and have coffee. He could sit on the porch, have his coffee, and look out and see her grave. Now the entire family's being buried there.
Huh.
Oh, good night.
There's something very romantic about that. There's something very creepy about that.
Thank you. That's right.
I'm sorry to sidebar, but in the town where we grow up, there was a younger girl that was killed in a car wreck. And what her family did was had a pavilion, like a gazebo built off their porch,
Mhm.
and had her casket on the porch. in, like,
Wow.
a tomb.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is weird.
It was-
Yeah, that's a little bit much.
Yeah. Well, you know, I didn't know, and a little bit off subject, but I didn't know until I was working with this guy, and she had a family member who lost an infant to crib death, and they took the baby home for like 2 or 3 days and had the wake with the baby's body in the house
Oh yeah.
and everything. And I'm like, okay, that's strange. And evidently that was a big thing back, you know,
Yeah.
earlier in the last century and before. But,
Yeah.
you know,
The house I lived in Manchester, Kentucky, they had funerals there, quite like 3 or 4 inside the house.
Yeah, it used to be real common setting up with the dead.
Mhm.
And some people still do that.
Like the Ray Stevens song, "I Set Up with the Dead Till They Start Sitting Up Too."
They ain't set up with the dead
Yeah.
no more since the dead started setting up with their own.
I also think that final watch is a weird thing. I don't know if you've ever been at a funeral or a wake where people practice final watch, but it's like after the funeral, but in between the funeral and the wake. This is going on now.
Mhm.
This isn't like an old thing, but people will after the funeral or the wake after the wake. I'm sorry, I had those backwards. After the wake, somebody will stay wherever they are, so the funeral home or church or wherever, and one person will stay with the body overnight.
Oh, okay. With Alexander the Great, have y'all ever heard this about Alexander the Great and how after 6 or 7 days they were expecting his body to start decomposing, but it hadn't, because he had some kind of rare condition where his heartbeat slowed way, way down. He hadn't actually died yet, but he was in a comatose state.
No, I hadn't. That's wild.
Well, Henry VIII exploded in his casket after about 3 days.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a law that kind of fits into what Mike just said, where he wants to be stood up next to a jukebox. You won't be
Illegal in New Hampshire.
You won't be able to do that in New Hampshire because you may not tap your feet, nod your head, or any way keep time to the music in a tavern or cafe.
Wow.
If Mike is dead, propped up against the jukebox, tapping his foot, I ain't going anywhere near that.
Right?
I'm talking about that.
No offense, Mike.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Craig. What Craig said, he said he would stay with the beer keg. I would do that.
Yeah.
I'm just not staying alone. Like, I've seen too many horror movies. I'm not staying alone with a body at night. I don't know.
The body's is an empty vessel at the funeral home
until it ain't.
That's why in cemeteries they used to put bells by the freshly dead with a string going inside. So if the body wasn't dead and they woke up, they could ring the bell, and then the caretaker could come and dig them out. That's where you also get the phrase "saved by the bell."
Well, it's funny. We were just talking about the Mercy Brown case not too long ago that played into a lot of that, like the hysteria of the undead activities, and what led to the bells. I think they were relocating a graveyard at one point and noticed how many scratch marks were inside the caskets.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you use a mirror to determine whether or not somebody's dead, that's going to happen.
That would be awesome. I just thought of an awesome prank for when I die. I'm going to get one of them bells, but I want somebody to tie a little piece of cheese to the string and put it right in there with me.
Okay, the thought of you ringing a bell doesn't bother me. The thought of a rat trapped in there with you just creeps me out.
You're dead. I want somebody to take my cell phone and after the funeral text everybody, "Thank you for coming."
I saw one similar to that the other day, Scott. It said, "Take my cell phone and text everybody, hey, it's dark in here."
So Mike said he had a friend in California that worked at a funeral home, and he was in the process of embalming the body, or with the embalmer, and the body sat up.
Yeah, I mean that happens, I hear.
Yeah.
I don't know even if I was an embalmer and I'd have done it 1,000 times and the body just sat up, guess what?
Oh, you grease.
I'm greasing them. Yeah. I'm not gone. I'm just like throwing my bare hands at that point. You know what I mean? I'll just put makeup.
Like the face looked like that when it came in.
They're getting decked, and we'll just throw some makeup on. It's fine.
And this is why I believe that everyone should be cremated. You don't have to worry about ghosts coming back. You don't have to worry about bodies sitting up. You don't have to be worried about being buried alive. My mother wants a nightlight in her coffin. And that is a true request. And I'm like, why? Because I don't, and she sleeps with a nightlight to this day. She's terrified of the dark. And she goes, because I don't want to be in the dark by myself. And I'm like, Mama, if you're in there and dead, I think you're okay. No, I want one in there. So I'm going to find her a damn tap light and put in there.
This is morbid, but as technology advances, how they have said that there's different like schemas to people who are in comas, to where like maybe there's brain waves that they couldn't detect previously. Part of me is always like, what if they don't really know how long brain activity lasts after you pass, and then you somehow experience the horrors of the embalming process
and then being buried. Yeah, that's a fucking intrusive thought that I have constant. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
I've already got my niece and nephew. They're going to cremate me, but just before they go in, they're gonna pour popcorn seeds down my throat into my stomach. And my nephew wants to put M80s in the pockets of my clothes.
Oh man.
All right.
I
Weird New Hampshire.
I got a strange fact. Facts. America's first documented serial killer, Henry Mansfield Howard, was born in Gilmanton, New Hampshire. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that either. I thought the first documented serial killers were from Kentucky, but I was wrong.
It does happen occasionally.
Yep.
You know, you're entitled. It's been a while.
60% of the time, I'm right every time.
So Scott, give us another one.
Two, and so one of which was extremely famous. This around here is where the Betty and Bonnie Hill abduction took place.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, Betty. I didn't even know that, but Betty and Bonnie Hill, they lived in Portland.
Uh-oh.
Being a pain because I'm not paying attention to them. Betty and Bonnie Hill lived in Portsmouth, and they were traveling through the state. They had been vacationing in Vermont, and let me see. And they were, and actually, oh no, let's see. Is this it? Yeah, they were traveling through from back home, and all of a sudden they started to see these lights in the distance. Where was it? I visited the location right near Lancaster, New Hampshire. I actually visited the site once. They've got a marker there, and they claimed that they were abducted, they were taken in, and that their memory was wiped. You know, they woke up, I think when they were parked at the side of the road and thought they took a nap. And they didn't want, the thing about this case that makes it unique is they didn't want to come out with this story. They went to a psychiatrist who put them into a hypnosis. They told their stories. They were afraid of doing it because they were an interracial couple. Betty was worked for the NAACP. They were afraid that they'd get all this negative publicity, and it just eventually came out about them. And the fact that they did not promote this, that they weren't the ones going, oh, yeah, we were abducted, gave a lot of credence to the story.
That's neat. I did not know. I forgot that happened in New Hampshire. I'm glad you brought that up. That's the most famous and probably the first, right?
I don't know if it's the first, but it's the most famous. And then there's also the Exeter incident. 18-year-old kid was walking home from his girlfriend's house in Amherst. This was in 1960. Hang on a second. 1965. And he saw flashing red lights. And he thought, oh, there must be a fire somewhere. Well, it turned out that it was reportedly UFOs. And the police went out to investigate, and they claimed to have actually seen a flying saucer themselves. So it was backed up by at least, some type of authority, and it became a fairly popular case. Now, it was eventually covered up because there's an Air Force base, I think about 10 miles away. And when the Air Force investigated, they said, oh, you were seeing the landing lights of planes coming in. But,
of course.
Like the Phoenix lights, pretty much.
Yeah. I've got a link. I went there every year. They have this huge festival there. They have this huge festival there. They have UFOs, they have experts, they have people who have books, they give tours of the area. I just sent the link. I went there and took a bunch of photos of the sites related to it. So if anybody ever wants to go, there it is.
Nice. I love to go.
But yeah, that was another one of those UFO incidents that's very it's not as well known as Betty Bonnie Hill, but it's very popular, and there's a lot of evidence supporting it.
So Scott, I gotta ask, since you're on tonight, I know you join us every now and again, but before you retired, how many UFOs did you get to take a tour of?
I can't tell you. The funny thing was, my cousin was convinced that the CIA had UFOs, and every time I'd come home, he'd take me out to lunch, and as we were driving, he'd turn the radio up in the car and say, "Okay, tell me what you know." And I'd always say, "I can't. They'll kill us both." So one night it was near Christmas. We were having a party at his house, and him and his friend were talking about how we never made it to the moon. It was all done. It was done in a CIA studio. Stanley Kubrick did. And I let him go on for 10 minutes, and then I pretended to get mad at him. And I said, "You have no idea what you're talking about. We made it to the moon because it was part of the deal. We gave them asylum. They gave us the technology. It's why we and no one else has been able to." And I walked off into the kitchen, and about 5 minutes later, his wife comes in and goes, "You are such an asshole. That's all they're talking about."
That was good, Scott.
Love it, love it, love it.
There's probably some
Awesome.
truth behind that, though.
It's like that meme that's like, well, it is funny.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
Cool. The Witch of Hampton
Ooh.
said there was only one woman in New Hampshire convicted of being a witch during the frenzy that went on with the witch trials. And her name was Eunice Goody Cole.
Yes.
Said she was sent to a Boston prison. Her land was taken by the town to pay for her imprisonment. And in her final days, she was taken care of by the townspeople. But said even her death was mysterious. But some legends claim that she was tossed off of a cliff into the sea by the local citizens. But she was blamed for things, like a shipwreck that killed 8 residents off the coast and everything. But said she was exonerated in 1938, and they have a stone that stands outside of a museum to remember her, and most likely she was never a witch at all.
I assume that when they threw her off the cliff, it was one of those situations like if she flies, she's a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like that drowning test.
Yeah. So if she weighs as much as a duck.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. But the funny thing was, she wasn't a witch. It was like with the Salem witchcraft trials. When something bad happened, they blamed it on the people, calling them witches. But even after her death, they were so terrified of her that after she passed away, her body was thrown into a pit with a stake driven through her heart to exorcise any demons.
It's probably because I don't know if this is before. It's probably before the Yazoo incident, but I was researching the Yazoo witch not too long ago, and they chased her down in Mississippi into a swamp, and she ended up getting stuck in quicksand. But before they allowed her to sink in the quicksand, she's like, "I'm coming back in 20 years, and I'm messing up everything." Like mark my words. And 20 years later to the day, a fire tornado comes and destroys 200 buildings and flattens the town. And now they've got her chained in a grave.
Yep, because if they don't, she will come back and burn the remainder of the town.
I'm trying to get Morgana to go get me one of the links from that chain.
Next weekend. It's next weekend. I'm going to have to look around.
That'll be the last time we see you on this show.
This is a strange law in New Hampshire that should concern you.
See you, Craig.
On
Hi, Craig.
On Sundays, citizens in New Hampshire may not pee while looking up.
Well, I always pee looking down, otherwise I'm
I always look up to the left.
Well, so they have this cool town called Center Sandwich. Center Sandwich. Yep. It's right up the road from Hell Hollow.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, you need a sandwich once you get away from there, huh?
That's right. There you go. There you go. So, all right, guys. You got another scary Tully?
Yeah. It's another house.
It's always
So-
a structure with totally.
So, well, I try to find haunts because, I know Steven's going to get the cryptids, and Scott probably has some non-linear stuff where he lives there.
Yeah.
But so it's called the Chase House, and this is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Mhm.
It was built as a home for orphaned children. And as you can probably imagine, it has a lot of ghosts, but it's pretty horrific. I'm gonna try to PG this.
I
The
think,
ghost.
I think we can do rated 14.
Okay. So the ghosts here are not of children who passed away due to illness or accident, but rather torture.
Mm.
And it's said that a young girl who was living at the children's home was I don't even know how to say that in a good way. She was hanging out.
Okay.
They found her hanging out in the house, and to this day, the main apparition in the Chase house, people like imagine walking a corner, and people will see an apparition like hanging, like just a lifeless body hanging in the house.
Okay.
So it's not like an interactive apparition, but imagine like going to make your ramen and you turn the corner and there's just like somebody hanging out.
Your ramen, huh?
Yeah.
I love it.
Here's something that's scary. The house is still in use today. They use it as residential treatment services, home-based programs, independent living. It's got a youth program in it.
Wow.
And there's reports that there's the main apparition. People also hear screaming. And things are known to have been like to be unlocked. Like the doors will unlock on their own, and the electricity turns on and off.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
Scary.
that's interesting stuff.
Hadley's with us.
Oh,
Where's she at?
She said there's no party on YouTube.
Oh, hi, Hadley.
Hadley?
For the first time tonight.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay. Well, tonight's picture was based on the devil monkey of Danville, New Hampshire.
Yes.
Yeah. It said they're described as 3 to 8 feet tall. They will walk on all fours or upright. They have large feet, full haired bodies, and monkey or dog like faces. And said that it's distinct because, a lot of people, when they see something new, because this one just started showing up in the 30s, that, it's a chupacabra or a Bigfoot, but said, no, this one is distinct in the way it looks and everything, but said that they're powerful enough to cross a field in just a couple of leaps. And they attack their victims, livestock, pets, wildlife by tearing with their razor sharp claws and biting with their sharp teeth. So they said that, what was it? That's the only place, evidently, that they talk about it. But said in 2001, people started talking about hearing a strange howling in the middle of the night. And that, they tried to brush it off as local wildlife, but said it was nothing like any of the local wildlife. And said that people started reporting, including the fire chief, a reddish brown primate with razor sharp claws. So there were about. Go ahead.
That's likely just monkeys, right? Like, or do you think that's actually a cryptid?
I don't know. I mean, they talk about those in Alaska. They have reports of those devil monkeys as well. So, I mean, it seems to be more of a northern thing than.
But said, and that's the one thing that people that have described it said it didn't have like demonic qualities at all. Said, I mean, it's, definitely an animal of some kind, but just when they describe like the claws and stuff like that, they're way out of proportion to what a normal primate would be.
Right.
Yeah.
With the Providence Park, I don't know, where's Providence Park at? It's somewhere in Canada. Provincial Park.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's what it is. It was there's the Beast of Seven Shoots that's there, which is a snouted cryptid of some sort, kind of like a baboon. Mm-hmm. So with these devil monkeys are, it could have a snout like a baboon, is what people are seeing.
Wow.
Because there are some things that are there's actually, you can look it up, the Beast of Seven Shoots, and you can look at the picture of it. It's holding supper, which is a white dog.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, things happen all the time. Like, in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, they had that crash where some monkeys escaped.
Yeah. That went away quick, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
and it just so happens those were infected monkeys out of a CDC van that crashed.
Wasn't there also what's the island close to New York with like was it the Montauk?
Montauk.
There was a parallel island to that where they were finding skulls that were looking like monkeys.
Huh.
So I definitely think it's possible with as many underground experiments and everything that goes on, something getting loose like that.
Scott would know about those.
And a lot of times too, I know down here it's a huge thing is feral hogs. They start out when they first get loose just looking like a hog, but then as they reproduce and everything, they start adapting to being out in the woods and everything. They start growing longer hair.
I will say, I know we're all over the place at this point, but some of the pictures I've seen of the skunk ape in Florida, I don't think that's a traditional Bigfoot. I think there's some gene editing going on.
Yeah.
It literally looks like if you were to take a gorilla and a baboon and make like it's the size of a gorilla with sort of like the face of a baboon.
I mean, it's the Everglades. It might be a.
It's also the Panhandle. I actually know somebody that's seen a couple going through the Panhandle.
So you're saying it's the Florida man of Bigfoot?
I'm just saying that the Florida man got hooked up with monkey or something and created whatever.
my theory is cryptids are just pets left behind by the aliens when they came to visit.
Fair enough.
I like it. I like that a lot. So, but yeah, they there's some weird ones. I want to know about that fairy
In New Hampshire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a Pat Ford heavy.
Yeah, I'd never heard of that one.
Let me see if I can put my hands on it because I remember seeing something about it.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
We talked about the orphanage in Portsmouth. Outside in Concord, there used to be a insane asylum that was founded in 1842, and it eventually stopped becoming an asylum. It became like I think the administrative building of Concord Hospital. But there's a cemetery not far from that hospital that's supposedly haunted because so many of the inmates died and nobody ever came to claim them.
Wow.
Oh.
So they buried them. So they would give them a proper burial in this, and there's this huge cemetery. You can't see it from the road, and it's usually closed. I've tried to get in there, but people who've gone in there say yes, you can feel and sometimes see the spirits of those people who were they died and were abandoned because they have
crazy.
no way. Yeah.
Scott, I had the it was called New Hampshire Asylum for the Insane. I had the asylum itself on my list, but apparently that like the asylum itself is super haunted, but it doesn't even mention that graveyard.
No, it doesn't. I discovered it I was looking up something else in Concord and discovered it. It was like buried deep, but
That would be awesome. Like to go explore it.
well, I'm planning on doing a lot. I want to start doing a lot of that this summer. Like the first UFO sighting in America took place in Boston near Logan Airport in 1610.
Wow.
I want to go down there and get photos and videos.
That'd be cool.
The Dairy Ferry.
Very, very.
The dairy
ferry? Are we talking about a boat or
Nope.
a
Nope.
ferry?
We're talking about
Like
a little green man.
Okay.
Okay. It was a strange creature seen in the woods of Derry, New Hampshire in 1956. It was about 2 feet tall, had green, wrinkled, elephant-like skin, stubs for feet and hands, basset hound-like ears, and what looked like a protective film over its eyes. Said somebody tried to capture it. It let out a blood-curdling scream and caused the man to run away.
It's like a modern day emoji.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't know what I would. I don't know. I'm probably not going to retreat from a 2 foot tall.
I don't know. With basset hound ears.
Hadley said Dobby.
Yeah, kind of like.
Well, the pictures, the images they post of him all look like Dobie.
Yeah.
That's funny. The people I've always had a fear of small bipedal creatures, and then people at work figured out that I had this fear of those and started like bringing gnomes to work. So I had to like train
I don't know if it's something that small. It's either like we're going to be friends or advance upon me, brethren.
Well, I had to
because I'm not backing down.
I had to train myself not to be scared of them anymore. And I'm not scared no more.
I'm the type, if I saw Bigfoot running through the woods, I would chase him to try to get a better picture. So
Bigfoot I would, but little bitty things freak me out.
Yeah.
Totally, I can't even get you to go in the woods over in Transylvania, and you're going to face down a 2 foot green guy.
I have reasons to not go the places where I say I won't go. But Mike, Derry, Maine is where it is from.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a real city, is it?
No, it's just based on where he grew up, I think.
Yeah.
Welcome to Derry is going to be a good show on HBO, by the way. I think so.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
Derry is a fictional town.
Where's it based on, Scott? It is based on a real town, like
on Stephen King's hometown.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of his hometown though.
If I'm ever in Maine, I intend to stop
and see Stephen King's house.
They're just like some places that the book referenced. I think they've got like plaques and stuff up.
I've actually, I'm planning a trip to Maine at the end of the year.
That'll be so fun. I love like the architecture and you know, like the old sea towns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. We've got friends in Kittery, and I haven't been up there, but Mo's been up there many times since they moved. And I told him it's our 35th wedding anniversary this year. I'm like, I want to go to Maine.
And you know, you give me a hard time about Hoya Baku, but listen, there's so many bad things that happen in that forest. I've went to plenty of places that people wouldn't go, but I'm just drawing the line at a place where, you know, people just get yeeted out of existence.
But you know, you should have never let me know that you didn't want to go there, because I'm going to give you hell about it for the rest of your life.
I mean, my dream ending is like missing 411. You know, like you'll know that I found it. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll keep that in mind.
According to what I was looking at, Derry is based on like a suburb of Bangor, Maine.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of it.
It doesn't list the suburb. It just says.
It
just says like it's near Mount Etna. The town of Etna, and the town of Durham, Maine, where Stephen King was born. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like a villain right now with this dog in my lap. Oh no, New Hampshire's
All right.
crazy.
Okay, on the outskirts of Concord lies the Devil's Den. It's a place shrouded in mystery and superstition. According to local lore, an ancient curse is said to afflict those who dare to trespass upon its hallowed grounds. Tales of inexplicable misfortunes and eerie encounters have perpetuated the belief in the malevolent curse, adding an air of mystique to the area.
You'll have to send me that information. I've never heard of that.
No, I hadn't. I actually found a place on. It's about folklore and legends around Concord, New Hampshire.
Oh,
Sure.
because I lived for years right outside of Concord.
Oh, okay. Here, I'm gonna send it to you in the private chat.
Thank you.
Shelby said that Stephen King sleeps with the nightlight on, and I think that's telling.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
Yes, he's one of those people I would love to sit just for a couple of hours to see if he's as creepy as he writes. Because he's one of those people I have a love-hate relationship with when it comes to his books. I'll start reading it and I'll get pissed off and throw it down. And 2 or 3 days later, I'll go pick it up again because he writes in a way that, like, when I read Salem's Lot, to this day, I've never read the last chapter because I believed vampires were coming and they were going to get me when I read it. The movie didn't bother me, but his books just...
You know, this reminds me that this week I saw a video. Somebody documented a day in the life of Hunter S. Thompson. He started his day like he woke up at like 3 p.m. every day, and he would start writing around midnight, and he would go to bed around 6 a.m.
Wow.
And the things he did in those hours between 3 p.m. and 6 a.m. were completely ridiculous. I find it super interesting that he was even alive as long as he was.
I mean, he was still been alive, but he decided that he was done. So,
do you know you also have Happy Corner in New Hampshire?
Happy Corner.
Happy Corner.
Final New Hampshire thoughts.
On April 12th, 1934, winds reached 231 miles per hour on New Hampshire's Mount Washington.
Wow.
That's got to be some kind of record.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yes. I would love to go to New Hampshire. I think that would be a beautiful place to visit.
Once you get north of Concord, it is absolutely gorgeous. You know, because everything south of Concord is kind of built up. But the lake regions, the mountains. You know, even like when you go west of 93, you get all these quaint little towns that are just so nice to drive through.
Is there a lot of woodland in New Hampshire? Like woodland? A bunch of woods?
There's a ton of woods in New Hampshire, yeah. There's one place, I'll just say this very quickly. Where is it?
Just don't go at Halloween, Mike.
There's an area in New Hampshire that is so thickly wooded. There's a ton of Bigfoot sightings.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it and I can't.
Around Rochester, they've had a lot of Bigfoot reports around there. So many that they thought about building a website to take the documents or take the report.
That'd be cool. Scott, if you should get some footage from somewhere up there and come on Folk and Weird sometime. By the way, if you see like a ghost or something, make sure to point the camera that way because totally refuses to do that.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
I'm gonna tell a story. So Scott, Tully was at a graveyard and a woman black garb.
Not a ghost. Not a ghost. Imagine thinking it's weird to see somebody dressed in black at a graveyard that holds 6 funerals.
He's at the
period clothing though.
wearing solid black period clothing. Couldn't see her face, and did not turn the fucking camera in her direction.
When you do strange State Strangers Connecticut, I'll show the videos. There's a house there that's haunted, and I was there with a group of people, a famous paranormal investigator. I can't think of his name, but he was on that Netflix series 30 Days of Haunting.
Oh wow.
And we were sitting there and we had the voice box, and one of the spirits began talking. And they said, he said, "Who are you here for?" And the voice box said, "Baker."
Wow.
He's like, it's like, "Anybody here like that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me." He goes, "What do you want with Baker?" And he goes, "Death." It's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm going home now."
Landa, I'll go anywhere except the Hoya Baku Forest.
I have a feeling that I've said it 100 times, but I feel like Tully would be out in the field, be like, "This right here is where the Civil War battle happened," and a spaceship would land behind me. He'd be like, "Hey, shh."
Okay. Squantum, New Hampshire.
Squantum.
Just because I'm
Squantum.
mission oriented doesn't make me.
But hey, Cecil,
Huh?
Squantum is Native American for clam bake. True statement. True statement.
Well, any cattle crossing road must be fitted with a device to gather their poop.
Ew.
God, have you got ever
So
gone
a colostomy bag for cows?
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. Scott, have you ever gone to the Conjuring House?
No, it's on my list of things to do.
Oh my God.
It costs so much money now because
Really?
new owners bought it and they're charging like very high fees, but
Wow.
you can also stay overnight.
Dude, we should all pitch in for you to go.
I'm down.
Rather
Like,
than the Conjuring House, the Waverly Museum, I think it's in Kentucky.
It is.
Yeah. They now do overnight for $1,000. They do overnight tours. They let you stay in there. They pretty much close the doors and say, "We'll be back at 6 a.m."
You know, that's went up a lot since they revamped Waverly. But
It's always been kind of the same because used to you had to do at least a group of 8, and it was like $1,000 back then because the people where we used to work used to go. Remember?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that, we knew people that went all the time. But Scott, the Conjuring House, get the price, and we'll split it and send you.
Yeah.
I do want to go see that one.
And you're allowed, as long as you're allowed to film. Like
I think you are.
we will 100%.
Yeah.
Send you to the Conjuring House to get some footage.
And the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River is now a bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
So I guess you decide, do you want the room where the mother was whacked or where the father was whacked?
Yeah. That's a no for me.
Come on, Stephen.
That's $300 a night.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm hard pass on that one, Morgana.
Well, see, that's like somebody, I think it was Hadley said something about going to that place that will pay you $20,000 to stay for so many hours. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Where?
I'm on.
That
Oh,
haunted-
no. It's a haunted house where they literally, you sign a waiver and they beat the crap out of you.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, no. I thought it was a haunted house.
That guy,
You know.
if you start, there's this guy that's been trolling him on YouTube, who's went like mega viral. I know exactly who you're talking about. His name escapes me. He's in Tennessee, and they label it as a haunted house, but he literally tortures people.
Yes.
He has been challenged because in the contract to the haunted house, he says he has all these things and he doesn't have any of it. Like he's there's no proof that anything that contract describes actually exists, allegedly, according to that YouTube channel. And they troll him so hard they take the contract and amend it and put like these ridiculous things in the contract and have him sign it. And they keep sending like sleeper people in who are in on it. to troll that guy because he's such a horrible person, apparently, according to them.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's what, because somebody had made the comment about, oh, you don't want to do that. And then I started reading what it was. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I know how I am. The first time you started in, I'd lose my mind. So, one of us would go to jail and the other one would go to the hospital, most likely.
This should tell you something. So there's a Hulu documentary on that guy that just came out around Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
He's suing Hulu right now for misrepresenting his operation.
Okay.
But the dude on YouTube's a savage. If you figure out his name, go to YouTube and search it. And the dude who's been trolling him, I mean, it's like millions and millions of views on his videos. It'll pop up right away.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, guys, what time is it? Mike?
We gave some extra minutes.
We gave you some extra minutes.
What are we talking about next week?
Next week, y'all are talking about reptilians. I will not be here. I will be filming.
Yeah, that's my face. That's my face too, Stephen. I'm sitting here thinking, like, how are we going to talk about this in a way that doesn't go completely off the rails?
It might end up with me standing pointing at the camera like these
I'll try to get a history without, like, an ancient history of reptilians throughout history, and we'll stay out of the politics ditch.
No.
Yeah, because when we were on wearing the folk last week, and Hadley had the wrong week because you said the biggest reptile and you called it reptilians.
Well, no, I said come see us for reptilians. I mean reptile.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just making a joke.
Right. So we kind of went down that hole for a minute, and then Mike made the comment, hey, the first time I saw or heard about it was on the show V in the 80s. And that's exactly the first time I remember that, because it was the first really big sci-fi show before X-Files got started.
Yeah.
Iron Sky 2, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's got reptilians in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
you could use some referencing and stuff, like maybe that kind of stuff.
The Los Angeles Times in 1920 something.
Thanks, Mike.
Talk about
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to have to placate Fred for an hour.
Yes, that's right. Got to give him extra loves.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Angeles.
Yep. And if you do not already, please follow us, Wyrd Realities on Facebook and everywhere else.
To know when we're going live.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Well, Hadley, I hope you come next week. Somebody's got to keep these guys in line.
You didn't send her Morgana. It's the same problem I've been having.
But it's not a good idea to leave us three here
unsupervised.
Yeah, you have to be here next week.
Yeah.
There's been a couple times when it's just been me and Steven pop on. We're like, this is getting right.
This is we're expecting to go off the rails quick.
Yeah, well, I have a going away party Friday night, and then I'm driving up home on Saturday, and then on Sunday I'm going to the cemetery for the witch's grave. And then I'm at my mom's for a couple of days, and then I'm going to meet Tracy, Wyrd Kid Tracy, on my way back, and we're going to have a session. So
neat.
That is
busy
amazing.
few days.
Mm-hmm. When is Tracy going to start coming on at the end?
We need to work that out. What works for her, and we need to start getting some advertising because we want that to be a participation thing. So yeah, I think Hadley and I need to get a little bit more information from her to see exactly how she wants to approach it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Me too.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, I guess we're going to call that a wrap. Scott, thanks so much for coming on. We will definitely send you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We'll
Yeah,
definitely send you the Connecticut stuff. And again, if you get out and get footage, we'd love to have you on Folking Weird.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get the
I'm
price,
definitely going to be doing that this summer.
get the
Okay,
price
awesome.
for the Conjuring House, Scott.
Before we go, this
Yeah.
is a landmark episode. This is the first time Scott's been on that my internet did not fuck up.
That's it.
Scott,
They finally put the good NSA guys on my case.
hey, Scott, do you have anything coming out or going on that you want to let everyone know about?
Just on May 18th, the next book in the Tatiana Paranormal series, The Ghosts of Treblinka, will be released.
Okay, and please send me that, and I'll get it in the newsletter also.
Oh, yes, I'll definitely do
I
that.
always want you to show a shirt. What kind of shirt?
Yes, let us see your shirt.
I
Scott.
have the, let's see, I have the new Watching Weird shirt.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
I recognize that logo.
Watching Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yes.
Watching Weird, yes.
Watching here.
This week, we're doing The Thing and Alien.
Ah,
The original thing.
No, the John Carpenter 81 version.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm
Awesome,
gonna have to take a nap so I can stay up and watch it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yes.
Alien. Those are.
Oh. Uh-huh. Those are cool.
I've actually gone with.
All right.
Thank you, Hadley.
All right, guys. We appreciate it. Don't forget to come back. Like I said, we are constantly releasing new stuff. We usually throw it up on Facebook at the very least. So definitely subscribe so you know when all of our fun stuff is coming. And until next time, stay weird.
Stay weird.
Adios.